Hi, this is Bren Masson, host of Freshwaves. April is Organ Donation Awareness Month in Canada. If you haven't already done so, please go to beadonor.ca and register as an organ donor. It only takes a second, and it's a decision you'll never regret. Be a donor. Save a life. Go to beadonor.ca.
Today I'm gonna try to change the world.
And we're back on Freshwaves. Joining us in the studio via telephone, and I am apologizing because it is my cell phone held up to a microphone. And if anyone out there wants to donate some money to Whistle FM for some new equipment, that'd be fantastic. Just saying. Okay, we're talking with Sandra Holdsworth of the Canadian Transplant Association. Good morning, Sandra, and welcome to Fresh Waves.
Good morning, Brenda. It's a pleasure to be back on Fresh Waves.
Mm-hmm. So tell us what's new and interesting in the transplant world.
Well, first of all, I'm still with the Canadian Transplant Association, but I'm past provincial director. We have a new provincial director, Kelly Kleinschmidt. But what's new in the transplant world? Well, I would say, considering the last 25 years I've been promoting awareness, the Green Shirt Day that just happened this past Sunday was absolutely amazing. I have never seen so much enthusiasm, newspaper coverage, engagement, and even people registering again, signing up because of the Green Shirt Day and the Logan Boulet effect that still takes place a year after his passing.
Yeah, it was pretty special, wasn't it? I had the honor of interviewing Toby Boulet, and it was such a moving thing to talk to them and to I mean, out of that absolute disaster have come so many amazing stories of humanity and bringing together a country that I don't think anything brings this country together like hockey does.
No, nothing does. Yeah, actually, I connected you guys with Toby, but I also had the pleasure of meeting both Toby and his wife Bernadine last Wednesday in Ottawa. So they were our guests in Ottawa for about 2 or 3 days, and they were gathered with transplant recipients from across Canada, where they went and did some visiting in the city of Ottawa. They also met the Prime Minister, and on the Wednesday there was a reception hosted by Canadian Blood Services and Canadian Transplant Association to kick off Green Shirt Day. Their speech during that time, like, you know, it was very emotional. It's covered on the news. You can see it several times. It's been played over. But what I really liked about their talk that day is they talked a lot about who Logan was. You know, we just at this point know Logan was a hockey player and that he donated his organs, but his father shared that his name came from Logan, the biggest mountain that is out there where they're from, and how he was very giving. He was very great with his team players, and he just seemed to be like a really, really all-around decent guy. And it was very evident too, like the family connection between his parents and his sister, and just his community in general. So it was really nice to, you know, put that information with his story.
Yeah, I think that's a really key point, and we were talking this morning about Ryan, who was also a really special kid, and these donors are wonderful people. In the fact, even that they just donate makes them wonderful people. So to have everyone who's sitting here, I mean, you guys are walking around with lungs that used to belong to somebody else, and they had to have been really nice people, because you guys are really nice. I mean, I'm making that equation because it just seems to make sense.
Absolutely, yeah, for sure.
Right?
What I like about donor families like Nancy and Dale with their son Ryan and the Boulets and my other friend, actually you had her on the show, Heather Talbot and Terry Talbot, is not only did they give, in all 3 cases their sons did discuss organ donation with them. You know, Jonathan was with his sister, Ryan was with his dad, and then the campaign he went on at such a young age, and then Logan with his father. But what really amazes me, and just makes me so thankful, is that they continue to pass on that message. So the fact that April 7th was the first anniversary of Logan's passing, the family was out there in their community, you know, giving back, sharing his story, and helping others. It would be so easy just to, you know, stay at home and be, you know, involved with all your grief, but they're continuing to give back, and that just amazes me. You know, the donor families that continue to share this story, because they are helping to save, you know, thousands of people's lives.
Yep.
And not just the recipient. I mean, the Boulets made a very common, very interesting comment, was that not only the recipients saved, their families are saved as well. They all come with loved ones, family, friends, etc.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, we were talking to Melody Clausen last week, and she's a kidney recipient who had 2 children that were never supposed to happen, and now she has grandchildren. And the snowball effect from that one donation, it's an amazing thing.
Yeah, and I know Melody as well, and her brother was her first donor, and yeah, she, you know, the fact that Seamus and Lauren were able to be born, and now that they have the grandchildren, it's just amazing. And that's like how the life continues. And I think that that's what the donor families would want. They would want the person to go on, live their life, and, you know, to continue to go on and live their life, and also extend their family as well.
Yeah. And I think that's what Heather said last week, too. She lost her son, Jonathan, and that's what she said about Jonathan's donation, is the fact that these other people are living who otherwise wouldn't be. And would she give anything to have another 5 years with her son? Of course she would. Mm-hmm. So she's given that gift to another family. And it's a wonderful thing.
Yes, there are a lot of amazing people that I have the honor of calling my friends. So they're all amazing. Yeah. It's all great. You asked me earlier, Brenda, what's new in transplant. I'm involved now with the Canadian Donation Transplant Research Program, and all across Canada and even within the States, we're working with researchers and doctors, and now patients are being engaged, and we're doing our best so that we can make the organ and tissue donation and transplant system work the best. More people are given a chance of life. Our lives are extended because of medications and because of procedures. Most recently, there was the first AIDS organ that was able to go on and save someone's life. So it's amazing what we're doing within the technology and within the science of transplant as well.
Yeah, it is, and it's a wonderful thing, and the medical research is moving forward in leaps and bounds. Even the fact that we were talking with Robbie earlier, and he had 2 rejection episodes, but here he is sitting here with us today, smiling and nodding, and it's radio. You can't nod on radio.
I can visualize him nodding because, yeah, you know, rejection used to be so scary, but now, you know, there's cocktails and medications we can take. And with it, Robbie and what was the person's name? Eric, is it?
Yeah, yes. Eric's here too.
Yeah. They're both lung transplant recipients. Well, now they have this amazing machine called the Next Vivo machine. So they can take lungs from a donor and they can flush them through the system and make them as best as they can be. So when those organs are transplanted into recipients like them, they have the best chance of surviving and lasting, and, you know, lasting a long time. And on that note, I have a friend that they'll be surprised to know about who had cystic fibrosis that wasn't expected to live, and he had his lung transplant in 1990. So if you do the math with that 29 years with the lung transplant,
wow.
It's pretty, yeah, it's inspiring.
Yep. Mm-hmm. Wow. Well, it's always a pleasure to talk to you. Thank you for joining us this morning on the telephone, and hopefully it won't take until next year before we do this again. Let's do it again sooner than next year.
Sounds good, Brenda, and that's my idea. My idea is that hopefully organ donation will become the norm, and we'll have these conversations on a regular basis. So I thank you, I thank my friend Jay, and I thank your radio station for continuing to promote organ donation. Goodbye to everyone, and have a great day.
Thanks, you too.
Bye-bye.
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 All right. Well, that was Sandra Holdsworth, and she used to be the head honcho at the Canadian Transplant Association, and now she's past chair. We're going to take a little break, and when we come back, we'll continue our discussion here on Fresh Waves. Stay tuned. Hi, this is Bren Masson, host of Fresh Waves, Whistle FM's Wednesday morning talk show. April is Organ Donation Awareness Month in Canada, so we are bringing awareness to the airwaves with real-life stories of real organ donors, families who have made the difficult decision in moments of extreme tragedy to donate a loved one's organs, and organ recipients themselves. Join us every Wednesday at 10 a.m. to hear these heartwarming and inspirational stories on Fresh Waves. And go to beadonor.ca and register to be a donor today.
Today I'm gonna try to change the world.
We're back on Fresh Waves. I'm your host, Bren Masson. In the studio this morning, we have Lisa, Robbie, Eric, and
Nancy.
You're on my other page, Nancy. Sorry, had a brain hiccup. I was going to say something that comes out the other end, but you're not allowed to say that on the radio.
One thing that Sandra didn't mention were the transplant games. So we have international transplant games every 2 years, and every other year to that, if I'm saying that correctly. They are in Canada. They were in British Columbia this past year. It hasn't been announced yet where the next Canadian games will be. And this summer they'll be in England as well.
Wow. So you all planning a trip to England?
That sounds like fun.
Yeah, get on it, guys.
Sure.
Well, May the 1st is the end of the registration, so you can still go.
What kind of games?
The games are a lot of fun, actually.
They have all kinds of different things.
They have all kinds of different sports. According to the country, they introduce sports and take away sports accordingly.
Right.
But there's running and swimming and
Bowling.
Yeah. Sorry, I'm like
table tennis.
Table tennis. So there are all kinds of events you can go to.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Okay, Jason, back there behind the board. I'm going to try and talk to you without turning my head, which is always an interesting activity. So, Jay, tell us a little bit about your story. You too are a kidney recipient.
That's right, and so 19 years ago. Actually, let's go back even further than that. I was going to college at the time, so this is going back 22 years ago, and I was, very sick at the time, nauseous, just, feeling terrible. My family doctor at the time, he thought I must have the flu, and it just, got to the point where I was getting all these strange symptoms, like I was getting blurriness on my eye, and I, just wasn't feeling well, sick to my stomach, that sort of thing. I went to the eye doctor for a routine eye exam, and he said, you got bleeding in your eye. And, he said, you got to go to the hospital right away. There's something not right about this. And so I go to the hospital, and they, checked my blood pressure. My blood pressure was extremely high, 220 over 130. It was very critical. So they thought, oh boy, I'm going to have a heart attack or a stroke or something like that. So they did, a whole bunch of tests, and I've, was born with spina bifida and a number of different, health issues. So, they had to rule out all these other, possibilities of what it could be. And so the blood tests came back, and the blood test showed that the kidney level was way above the normal. Like to test how well your kidney is doing, they do a test on your creatinine level, and normally normal for males is between about 60 and 120, and mine was 705, so it's way above where it should be. So they called in the kidney specialist saying, it's not my heart, it's not a stroke, it's the kidney. Got to have a kidney specialist look after it, and they were able to restore some of the kidney function, but it was just too late, and I needed to go on kidney dialysis. So about a month after that, similar surgery that I had last week was they put in a fistula in my right arm, and And so this was November of 97 I got sick. December 97 they put the fistula in, and then March of later on that year I started kidney dialysis, and I was going to, they called it at that time, York Central Hospital, and Dr. Nathu is the head of the clinic. I also had a nurse by the name of Kathleen. And the reason why I'm going to mention those names is that it comes up later in the story. So I was on kidney dialysis for about a year and 9 months, going to the hospital 3 times a week, 4.5 hours, per treatment. And, at the time we didn't have any TVs there at the dialysis center. That was back in the days of VCR. So I had brought in my VCR tapes to, help pass the time. You're sitting on the machine for 4 hours. So I was the movie guy. So everybody loved when I brought in the movies, and, we were able to pass the time with that. And
Happy J all the way.
Yeah. So, going through dialysis, that's not a fun thing, but to be there with patients that were going through the same thing, and there's another guy I'd like to give a shout out to that I've reconnected with, Todd Lawrence, who got a kidney and a pancreas. We were on dialysis together, and he was real inspiration for me. He's one that kind of kept me going and kept my spirits high and stuff like that. So Todd, thank you very much for being there for me at the time. And so I was going to the hospital for dialysis, and then this is where it gets emotional.
Take your time. Your sister.
Yeah, she
got tested, and
she got tested without my knowledge. And on my birthday, she surprised me with the news. We were chatting in the kitchen, and she said, "Jay, I wanna donate my kidney to you. I wanna." She hated me going to the hospital. I was only 21, 22 years old at the time. Trying to finish off college and move on with my life, and so. Later on, Christmas and everything was, quite emotional, knowing that our transplant was going to be happening very soon. And January 18th of 2000, so just over 19 years ago, my sister gave me a kidney. And at the time, doctors said, due to all my variety of health, conditions, that I'd be lucky to have 10 to 15 years, and we thought, oh, okay, that's great, 10 to 15 years. So within the last year, my kidney has started to fail. They've been keeping close eye on the blood tests and stuff like that. St. Michael's Hospital, going for blood tests regularly, and they've noticed that there's definitely been a decrease in my kidney function. And so I mentioned Dr. Nathu and Kathleen. I've been referred back to them. So this is 20 years later. They're still at the same clinic now. It's called the Mackenzie Health Center. So now they're there to do all they can to keep the kidney going. I mean, it's according to what Dr. Nathu is saying, it'll be about 4 to 6 months left of the kidney function, but there's things they can do to prolong the life of the kidney, changing of the diet, adding medication, encouraging me to exercise and that sort of thing. So, and then last week I had, just in case if I need, dialysis down the road to prepare me, for that, because at the time that I was going through dialysis before, it seemed like it was a very rushed thing, and I was very sick at the time. But now, for the most part, I'm feeling pretty good. I mean, I get short of breath, and my appetite and everything's still pretty good. But they, they're watching things closely, and they want to make sure that there's if it comes to dialysis, that I'm going to be ready for it, and better
while you're healthy enough to handle it.
Right,
just
exactly.
Like we were saying about you guys with your transplants, you have to be healthy enough to go through the procedure.
Right.
Of course.
Well, I have a message here, Jay. Okay. We always leave this show open for people to send messages, and I received a message yesterday It says, for everything Jason has been through, he's always had the most positive outlook and never complained, always seeing the sunny side of whatever he is faced with next, which has been more than most could even imagine. I'm so proud of you, Jay, and all of your efforts in advocacy for organ donation awareness and for the disabled. I also would like to acknowledge his mom, my Auntie Jojo, who is no longer with us, but know how proud she would be of where you are today and what you have accomplished, and his sister Rochelle for giving him the gift of life and assisting him in being able to give back to the community. Love you, Jay Bird, your cousin Patty Ann.
Oh, wow.
That's from Boca Raton.
That's lovely.
So she
Thank
asked
you,
me
Patty
to
Ann.
give that shout out to you today.
Wow,
so there
that's
you
awesome.
go.
No, that's great.
And why do you get to live in Boca Raton and we don't?
And the thing is, my mom and I went down to visit my cousin Patty Ann, and I was on dialysis at the time, and it was kind of interesting how they, if you want to go on a trip to Florida or whatever, they can help arrange the dialysis down, Boca Raton or wherever you're staying, and
Wow, that's pretty cool.
yeah, so it's interesting that I could still travel and go to my dialysis and still enjoy my vacation. So it was
Wow.
great to have that.
Well, we have to take a little break, and when we come back, we'll continue our discussion on organ donation. This is Organ Donation Awareness Month in Canada, in the world, and on Freshwaves. Stay tuned. We'll be right back.